Hello again. I hope you're doing well. I wrote something new. Matthew. That is what they call him. That is the name on his birth certificate, and that will be the name they put on his gravestone. But it does not mean anything. It is a word without definitive definition. It has been stripped of its original meaning and overlaid with a new one entirely. The name is not meant for one person, but two. Matthew, the poor boy, they bisected him. They divided him whole, chopped him up into unfair portions, sectioned him off into who he was before and who he became after. Before and after. No longer is the orbit of his life centered around him, but the blinding, all-encompassing sun of what has happened to him. Past and present, these two dual states define him, and most tragic is the fact that the former is completely out of his control. It isn't any more his fault that his brain developed the way it did after prolonged and profound hardship and trauma than it is what color of the rainbow is his favorite. Matthew cannot undo what has already been done. Green was meant to be his favorite color before his eyes could open and he could put a name to the hue. But the blame is assigned to him anyways. Matthew is fitted with an unfavorable grafted cast that bends and molds him into a new shape entirely. It is suffocating. He cannot breathe, but oxygen flows in and out of his lungs anyways, just as rhythmic and constant and unending as it ever had been. The world continues to spin and turn with him, just as rhythmic and constant and unending as it ever did. Matthew is not human, not anymore. Matthew knows this, but his mother and father do not, and neither do his younger brother or sister. Matthew is very acutely aware. What he has become is an abstract idea, a concept of a shadow of a memory of who he used to be. Impressions and connotations and ideas about Matthew have fragmented themselves in his family's minds, and the jagged pieces have stubbornly lodged themselves into their brains. They're aware of the change and they are haunted by it. The rapid transformation of a young, intelligent boy who is destined for great things to the man they found naked and alone on the other side of the country, muttering nonsensical things about cults and the betrayal of a matriarch and never being able to look his family in the eye again. The transition was sudden and jarring for his family. He was their firstborn, their pride and joy. He was the first of their children to gain independence and autonomy, just as much as he was the first to lose it. Their love for Matthew had yielded them gilded, red-tinted glasses that blinded them to the fact that there had been a profound miscommunication from the very beginning. Matthew was not the child they raised. Matthew was a projection of the expectations they had set on him, and Matthew is an amalgam of outcomes resulting from countless thoughts, actions, and decisions made over the span of a lifetime, too. And despite what his family would only ever refer to in shameful tones as the incident was not the sole catalyst of his turn, but an accent. Matthew had been destined to change from the very beginning. It was printed on his cards in bold ink, and he was not the dealer. To have expected anything different from him would have been an impossible ask. The change that took place within Matthew was just as inevitable as the moon's phases or the ocean's tides, and while his family may call him by the same name they gave their firstborn, that is not who he is anymore. Matthew is changed, Matthew is different, and though his family may try picking up the pieces of what once was, beg and plead for this man to love them like their son once did, take the labels they placed onto him before and rub them back on, only he can decide which ones will stick. Only he can decide which ones are true, which ones were never a part of him to begin with, and which ones he will add that are entirely new. Matthew, as he'd been, was dead. Thank you.